The downstairs AC has not been working, and so in order to get somebody to come in and fix it, we need to have all of it off. That way the guy can fix it and it's like decooled or whatever. And so the time he was supposed to come, somebody in this house turned it back on, and we've had it off for like 5 straight days, not knowing. He's supposed to come today, but he hasn't come yet, and it is 4 p.m. So my hopes aren't the highest. We've been living in a hot ass house for a long time. So I had my window open, and that was a fucking wasp that just tried to get in here. And he was in here, but he was one of the dumb ones that thinks that a window isn't really there, even though he's fucking tapping it. So I was able to kind of push him out through the crack between my two window things. I'm gonna be real. I was gonna start recording later, but I clicked record in case the thing fucking stung me. It would have been really funny. Today's subject is annoying classmates. I want to start this off by saying I was friends with all sorts of weird kids in grade school, and I still am today because I'm one of those weird kids. When I'm judging people, it's not because they're weird people. It's because they're annoying people. There's a very big difference between weird and annoying, I think. I think a lot of people in college have like one, at least a few, but one reoccurring NPC that they have in a lot of their classes in their major. There always seems to be one character that like plots the same classes in the same marking period as you. You know, they're always moving on the same schedule as you, and they have the same major. They don't like waking up early, whatever, you know? And so you have at least a class with them every semester. I had, this is my first semester actually without my person. I think maybe my second ever. I have had this person that I'm going to talk about in like 4 classes, and she's a piece of work. I'm only talking about her to intro this video. She's not the main subject. I actually have 2 people who are the main subject, but this girl, she is weird, and that's fine, but also annoying, and that's just worse. She's the type of person to like raise their hand on every question in class, and if you know it, you know it. Like, some people really got to contribute because a lot of the class just in general is not going to talk, and that's fair. I personally don't always talk unless I'm really sure of what I'm saying, because I don't want to look like a fucking idiot in front of the entire class. But there's always somebody who has complete confidence in what they have to say, and they will talk every time if the teacher allows them, and she's one of them. But the other thing that she is one of those ramblers, and all due respect, right? I'm paying for college to hear the professor talk, not to hear one of my other students talk. So when this person is talking for like 5 minutes straight, it really comes down to sometimes the professor that we've had with them knows to like interrupt them between sentences and be like, okay, yeah, that links into this, and like get back to their teaching. And some teachers do not know how to do that and will let this person ramble for 5 straight minutes about their shit. And I mean, I swear to God, this person, and this is what the weird kid shit is, they're into like Five Nights at Freddy's or Undertale or stuff like that. I mean, everybody knows people who are like the weird kids that are into that, and that's fine. I played Undertale and I liked it. I haven't played as many FNAF games, but I still think they're fine. But we wouldn't be talking about these in class. We'd be talking about some fucking 18th century book, and she would somehow, conceivably, link this to a conundrum from Undertale. There was a time a year or 2 ago, I think we were reading the Aeneid. The Aeneid is like an epic poem written by Virgil, who was the guy that Dante Alighieri had be his like guide in Dante's Inferno. It basically tells the story about this Trojan hero named Aeneas and his whole like, you know, rise and fall and adventure and all that. Either way, there was a point in the story we were talking about in class where it was like, oh, he's facing a huge challenge or something, and he found the determination in himself. And this chick, I swear, she raises her hand, and I'm thinking in my head, what could it possibly be this time? And I swear to God, she gets called on, of course, and she starts talking, and my brain, it's like fucking static. It's like static every time she's talking. It starts to fade out like that. And by the time that I tuned back in, she was talking about Undertale. And the entire class is kind of looking like, just waiting for her to be done, and the teacher's like, just waiting for her to be done. And I mean, she was saying like, oh, something about the quote, which is like, this fills me with determination or whatever. But it's like, here's the thing. I understand if you have media you like that you want to reference in things, okay? I do that shit all the time. In my books, I reference a ton of songs. In person, I reference random shit that people don't even get, okay? It's fun, I get that. But when I'm in class talking about the book that we're reading for this fucking, you know, epic poem literature class and you're talking about Undertale, that's not the same level of reference. You can reference another book from this age, fuck it, another book, like, at all, really. But when you're referencing Undertale, I'm sorry, I really don't think that has jack shit to do with the Aeneid. And it went on like that a bunch. I remember there was like a rant about the marionette from FNAF. They had a bunch of other ones. It's just one of those people who it's like, it's hard not to cringe around, because it's like the second they start talking, it's like, oh, what are they gonna say now? And honestly, this person's not a bad person, but they just like, they're one of those people who you subconsciously, you try not to hate, and then you still kind of find yourself being like, oh my god, shut the fuck up. So that's great. I had her in like a lot of classes, and hopefully that's over now that my classes are becoming like more focused and niche. I mean, I hope she's doing good in college, but you know, I hope she's just doing good in classes that aren't mine. One of the things that I have not had be this bad until this semester is a blooming couple in a class. I didn't notice this would be so bad. I didn't even think about it because I don't know if I've ever had this. In high school, surely, right? But I didn't pay attention to anything in high school. But in college, let me paint the picture for you, actually. This is a poetry class. In this poetry class, there is the professor, and there is like 9 or 8, probably like, yeah, there's 8 students now, total, including me. Professor, 8 students. We sit at one big table. It's like family dinner. And this class is fine. The teacher's a little odd sometimes. He has opinions that I think, he like will contradict himself based on advice he already gave and whatnot, but I can't complain too bad because I'm not really a good poetry writer at all. I kind of suck at poetry, actually. But there is 2 people in this class, okay? I'm gonna call her A and he is B, okay? We got A and B in this class. And it started just in a class. The beginning of the semester, A is that type of person who raises their hand in every class. They say all that they can. And the thing about A is that she thinks her interpretation of poems that we read in class, or poems that these people in class have written for us to peer review, that her interpretation is the interpretation. And if somebody interprets it differently than her, she talks again and says, well, actually, I think it's this because of this. And her interpretation has to be the correct interpretation. And B, he is the type of guy who is always distracted in class. He comes, the first class, he came halfway through the class because he was late and he went to the wrong classroom or something. I don't know how he did that because we're in a completely separate building from most other classes, but I digress. Other times that somebody comes in like 2 or 3 minutes late, he like giggles at it, like it's a funny punchline or something. He's always looking for something to giggle at. And so anyways, throughout this entire semester, which is almost over, that's the reason I'm talking about it. I have confidence now that it's not going to evolve too much more past the point that it is at now. Throughout this semester, these 2 were flirting, okay? And one of my friends in this class, I do have a few friends, guys. One of my friends in this class, out of the 2 that I really know that well in this class, one of them has another class with A. And they were like, oh yeah, A and B are in this class together, and they are also flirting and hanging out and non-stop talking in this class. In our class, right, reminder, small table, everybody can see what everybody's doing at all fucking times. It's not a big room, you can hear anything that's said whispered, it doesn't matter. These 2 were like flirting until spring break, really. They were like talking non-stop, flirting. I was like, oh, when are they getting together? And of course, over spring break, they got together. And honestly, I thought shit would get better if they just could shut the fuck up and get together already. Because I was like, when are these 2 going to like stop doing this in class and just start doing it in the privacy of one of their own homes? To be honest, I thought they were freshmen. This like strikes me as like a freshman relationship. Like, we're gonna have our business out in class and we're gonna be very, like, just the vibes of the way they talk about things. We have an activity in this class called image collection. And that's where you go somewhere, you chill out with your little group, and you write poems. And thank God I was not put in a group with A and B for this, because it's the same group the entire semester. I would have had to ask the professor to switch. My 2 people in my group, those are my friends, they're pretty chill. And we noticed that we were all noticing the weird level of publicness to these 2's relationship. And we noticed this early on in the semester too. We've been talking about this all semester. If you think it's weird that I'm talking about this in a YouTube video and putting it out, 1, I'm not saying their names, you know, like if they watched it, they know who they are, but like they're not gonna watch it. 2, if you don't want shit like this talked about, maybe don't do it in front of a bunch of people. Like that's my thing, right? I wouldn't talk about this shit if I just passed a couple making out in public, but I'm actively having to sit in a hot room with these people for an hour straight, 3 days of the week. 2 to 3 days of the week. It depends on the week. And so having to sit through that and just keep a straight face is really hard. And so this is my therapy. Anyhow, during image collection, you write a bit about your experience of where you went with your group, and then you write some poems, some images that you collected, right? And so a lot of the time, my poems, my images I collected were kind of just bland, and then I started doing ones based on my book because I can actually write about my book, and I I feel like I don't have enough to write about poetry when it's just, oh, the room around me is so poetic and inspiring. It's just fucking not. I actually never really got work done on these, to be fair, past the first. Like, we just talked, my whole group. We just hung out and talked, really. We wrote a bit about the place. Like, we went to this Jewish deli one time. We went to this little Greek bodega. Damn, holy shit. And then we went to a Greek bodega. Holy fuck, I can't say that word. Greek bodega. We went to a Greek bodega next to it. And we just be chatting the entire time about life, stories, our classmates, our teacher, our whatever, just chatting. I'll pull up an example of something I've written so you can just kind of get the gist of how bad my writing is, but also like kind of what is expected. So, for example, one of these like many images I've written, and I'll warn you now, this is not Shakespeare, is we were at this little Kawa house down near VCU campus, and anyways, I wrote, stereo pounds align with my heartbeat, coffee beans are ground into the air, clean clinking cups cusping cold cappuccinos climb over the table, their scent reminds me of Halloween. So we got a bit of alliteration there. It's not really good. It's not a poem. It's not meant to be a poem. I'll have you know, this is not meant to be like a fucking fine work. I really just had to submit something, and this is what I went with. I'll let you know what I just found. It's verbatim. Okay, this is an image that the guy B collected, okay? And he put this on our entire class's discussion board for anybody to see. B is in a group with A, so those two are already in the poem group, right? Reminder, this is verbatim. The tantalizing titties toppled to and fro like the juggling hands of the 6-7 summoning ritual. So that's the type of people I'm in classes with. But the dude just put on the discussion board that he was staring at her tits instead of, like, that's genuinely just insane. So it was just shit like that. That's just one of them that I remember because it's just so god-awful. But it was shit like that for, like, until spring break. We come back from spring break, she has her hair dyed pink, he has his hair dyed a little pink, and they're holding hands. I'm like, okay, spring break is when it happened, he finally asked her out or something happened, whatever. And I'm like, okay, this is, first off, I learned that they're not freshmen. These are, like, sophomores, which is, like, okay, a little too old to be, how classes are. This is their 4th semester. Here's something they do every single class. They are always there, like, immediately. And they started going there together because they might have had their class beforehand right next to it, but every time I get to class, like 5 minutes before it starts, they're always there before me. And every time I enter, it's the professor sitting awkwardly at one end of the table, and at the other end of the table, these two sitting next to each other, talking about fuck shit. Every time it's fuck shit. I mean, they are flirting. From week 1, it was, how much I love you, and this and that. She was talking one time about how she had to cry when she left his place, like a minute before class starts, so everybody's there, and they were talking about how, like, addicted to each other they are. There was something he did that pissed her off, and she was like, oh, you something wrong, you fucked up or whatever. And he was like, God, I can't do anything right. And she was like, well, I can think of one thing that you can do right. And it's like, in front of the class? It's 50 minutes, twice a week, where you have to just not be a fucking freak in front of everybody, and you are. It's bad. And my thankfulness is at the end of the semester, we've been writing poems, and thankfully, their poems that the entire class is reviewing have not been love poems. That was one of my biggest fears, was that it was going to be like love poems, but it's just not the case. He wrote a poem about like drunkenness or something. She wrote one about I can't even remember. But it's just like we are adults now, so we cannot be flirting and kissing and holding hands and smooching. It got to the point where the teacher, the professor, who by the way has been like trying to not be obviously against them being all over each other all the time, but one of the first days we were peer reviewing poems, they were like nonstop touching each other, giggling while somebody was talking to each other. They were using only like one computer instead of just having both of theirs out for some reason to look at the shit. I mean, it's just like so codependent and annoying. The professor, literally the next class, I got to class and they were sitting apart, and I assume the professor would have put them apart because there's no other reason that those two would have fucking separated. They're basically conjoined twins at this point. But then again, after that class when they were separated, and of course when he had to leave her, he took my seat, which is just fantastic. So I had to sit right next to him an entire day. and I had to sit in the seat that has less leg room. Mind you, by the way, okay, I'm a tall son of a bitch. I'm all the way up here, right? This guy, genuinely, to my fucking nips. I'm not even joking when I say that, to my nips. He is short. She is taller than he is. And then the next class, they were just sitting next to each other again. And to this day, they've just been sitting next to each other again. So I guess it was just a one-day thing. I assume the professor's just thinking in his head, like, shit, it'll be over soon. Honestly, I don't even hate the class. It's just, like, really hard to sit through sometimes. Like, every time I walk into this class, I'm thinking, okay, deep breaths, like, you're going to have to lock in if you want to survive this class. I mean, last class, the thing was, she got there, actually. I got there before they were there, and I was like, shit, they're not here. Maybe they won't come today. And, of course, they haven't missed a single class. So she shows up, and she's like, he's coming. He's just late, but it's my fault this time. And we're all like, okay. Because who cares, you know? Because genuinely, it's not that big a deal. If he walks in, we're not him. We're not going to giggle shit at him when he walks in 5 minutes late. Nobody cares. I don't hate these people. They just piss me off. Something that does piss me off more about them is the fact that they are both, I think, better at poetry than me. I genuinely believe, at least A is. B, maybe, but is definitely better at poetry than I am. And that pisses me off, just knowing that, like, okay, so you have you are a intelligent creature. You have the ability to think about things. You have the ability to act a certain way, to make something. So why don't you change your fucking attitude for 50 minutes when we're in class together? And I am so fucking thankful that I'm not getting these two people in any more classes since I'm in such high-level classes. If I do, you'll probably hear an update because it'll annoy me again. I like to say that I try not to complain too much about shit, but I actually love complaining, and I think this is my outlet for complaining because I don't usually complain about shit much in person, or at least I try not to. But on here, I feel like this is my unfiltered opinion on people that will never see me, on people that will never know me. Life's too short to be holding it all in. I'm not going to tell these people what I think of them. I considered it like, what if on the last day I walk up and I say, yo, y'all are annoying, you gotta knock that couple shit off. I'm not going to fucking do that, right? Because that's kind of rude. And even if I think they do deserve it, who the fuck am I to say that, right? Would I like it if somebody said it to me? No. Do I do the shit they do? No. But, you know, at the same point, right? So, I'm just going to keep it to myself, and we're going to part ways, and, you know, they're not going to fucking think about me ever again, and I'm probably going to think about them when I think about that titty poem. I don't know what it is about the humanities classes that just have people so horny in classes. I'm starting to think it's because we read books with mature topics, but, like, I don't read a book where, oh, they have sex in, let's say, Jude the Obscure, for example. Does anybody know what that book is? Jude the Obscure. If you're not reading 19th century literature, you're not going to read this book, but it has topics about this guy Jude who kind of gets fucked up in life because his whole thing is I want to go to college, but college is barred to people who have more money than he does. He makes bad choices. He falls for a pregnancy trap for some woman. And so a lot of the issues in this book are because of his lust, right? He is like a very horny guy for women that are either too, you know, too Christian to be horny all the time or too bipolar to be whatever. And in a lot of ways, it's sort of the OG Chainsaw Man. When I read the sex scenes, and granted this isn't like a fucking smut book, you know, but when I read the scenes about sex and characters having sex, that doesn't like turn me on. And I feel like it does for some people. I feel like some people in my classes, and I won't shame smut readers, but I will shame you if you can't keep it in your pants. I don't know if it's just the fact that they're reacting to like how teenagers when you see a sex scene in a movie, you know, like if you were in the theaters when Oppenheimer came out and there was teenagers in your theater, you know, there was a good 4 minutes where they were straight giggling in the row in front of you, you know, and it's like, okay, I was looking at my phone because it's like, am I gonna watch a sex scene in a movie with a bunch of people? Probably not. Like unless they're talking about something plot relevant, I'm kind of just like, yep, time to boot up Clash. But some people let it touch them. And that's fine, but don't then touch yourself. Because I genuinely believe what that is. People have been talking about sex in class, and that's good, especially when it's about a book and we're talking about, oh, how does sex affect the characters and stuff in the book? That is fine. But I feel like for some people who lack the capacity to understand filters in your speech, which to be fair, I did for a while too, but then I grew up, right? You know, you need to be able to understand, okay, we're not talking about me and my boyfriend who's sitting right next to me. We're talking about a fictional character in a fictional book where it affects the plot, and this is relevant to the class and our readings. There was always just some fucking freaks in class, man. Even in grade school, there was always just some freaks in classes, you know? I feel like a lot of people had, like, a few people, maybe they weren't even in your classes, but, like, at your school, and people just knew this guy is a straight freak. Like, he will goon to anything ever. I mean, we had some of those guys. We had this one guy, Nefarious, who he was the only guy I think I ever caught gooning. And granted, now I say caught gooning like I was looking for this, right? But no, this guy, and I will not say his name for legal reasons, because this is shit. I can't remember if this is like 9th grade or if it was middle school. I feel like it was 8th or 9th grade. And this guy, you know how people, when they're bored or tired or whatever, would like have a hoodie on, and they would like roll it up over their knees, so they'd be like a hoodie creature, you know, and it'd be like up over them and all that. That's on its own is fine. We were doing an SOL one day, and this kid finishes his SOL, and I was always done my like SOLs and my SATs and my whatever tests before the timer usually, just because at a certain point I was like, if I don't know it, I don't know it. Like, I'm not gonna figure the shit out if I stress for 5 minutes over it, so whatever. And I move on, and the SOLs were kind of slight, so I was always done before the other students, which means I just had to sit there and just... Which was hell for a guy like me, especially as a kid, because I need something constantly. Even now, I want music, I want to talk, I want to play a game, I want to read something, there needs to be something going on around me or in my ears at all times. But I was able to sit there and just tank it. But this kid, my God, was he horny. He would put his fucking, I say he would, I don't know if he did it more than once, but he put his hoodie over his legs like this, right? Mind you, this guy is not shaped like me, he is like a middle schooler at the time. And he got caught gooning inside of his sweatshirt. Bro was straight gooning. And like, so the sweatshirt's covering it, but he's like straight yerking it under there. And this is a class with like 20 to 30 kids in it. I mean, that was one of the craziest things I ever seen. I thought it was hilarious because I'm pretty sure at the time I hadn't even fully hit puberty myself. So I was just like, what the fuck is this guy doing? But that's like such an incredibly awkward scenario. I don't even remember anything about my teacher or how they reacted to that. But like, imagine being a teacher and one of your kids is gooning in class during the SOL test. I mean, that was just insane. We had plenty of people who'd like goon in the bathrooms and get caught too. You know, you'd catch them like standing at the urinal and their feet would be pointing towards the urinal, but their pants would be down, but they wouldn't be peeing. And, you know, if you were quiet and you listened closely, if you snuck up on them, you could just hear like a noise, you know, or something like that. I mean, there was certain... You hear about things, okay? Well, I want to restate, I was not looking for these people to try and, like, harass them or whatever. There was just certain things that you knew, okay, like, I'm not going to go into the bathroom if this guy is standing there yerking it next to me in the stall. I did have a game, though, at one point where me and this other guy, we had poppets. Y'all know poppets? It's like the little gunpowder fucking... Your little garlic-looking gunpowder thing, and you hit the floor with it or something, and it go psh, like a little pop. And, so I brought those to school, and you're not supposed to have those at school. But I would bring them, and I would like take 3 or 5 or something and just toss them into the stall when I saw somebody in there that I didn't like. Like, I'd watch them, you know, if I saw them go to the bathroom, I'd like go to the bathroom too and just fucking throw a bunch of poppets in their cell, and you know, you hear what the fuck, but then you're already out of there, and it's like, you know. Or like sometimes I'd walk on this upper level in my school. This is statute of limitations now. I don't think I could get in trouble for this. And I'd like take 3 and I'd just throw them off the edge, and you'd hear like popping down there, and you'd hear like ah. And granted, this is not firecrackers. This is like, I wish I had any here to like demonstrate how non-damaging these are. These don't damage property. They don't hurt people. They simply just make a noise because they hit something suddenly. So I always wondered, was somebody jerking off and all of a sudden they got hit with a poppet? I always wonder if that's somebody I ever got, because, you know, you couldn't stick around to find out. I got away with stupid shit in school. Just mainly because I knew, like, when not to get away with stupid shit, so I would only do stupid shit rarely. I'll probably have another video based on, like, the stupid shit that I did in middle and high school, just because it wasn't enough. It was enough to be a video of its own, but it wasn't enough to constitute 2, I don't think. And, I mean, nobody was really a victim to the shit I ever did either. Maybe some teachers were, but that was only if they deserved it. I don't know, I'll talk about all that later. But yeah, moral of the story, don't kiss in class. And if you need to kiss in class, at least don't jerk off in class.
I wake up to a bad bitch every motherfucking morning. Ain't no reason to argue right now. I think she wanna get dick down. She so trifling, spit in her mouth. Right at it like you wanna be loved. Pussy good, take off the magnet. Fucked her mama and sister, we had a threesome. Yeah, I got her busting it open. I got her busting it open. I got her busting it open. I got her busting it open.